Yo, 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 it's your boy Jay Wellz.
And Beasto over here.
And this is Rags2Riches. Man, how you fucking been, bro? How's your day?
Nothing much, just been working all day.
Word up, man. Track 23, right?
Yes, sir.
Word up, word up. Man, I'm so mad that they closed the store in Woodbridge. Because that was really like low-key the hangout for me these last couple weeks.
I mean, they recently put one up in Menlo, and they're setting one up in Monmouth, which is where I was at today, because they needed help setting up.
Word. So what our subject today is technology. We're just going to be discussing what we think the advances of technology are going to take us. And there's no better way to start with this thing we call Alexa. So Alexa is this program. Well, if you don't know what it is, it's kind of like Siri. Sure. I'm sorry we have her still going, if you can't tell. But basically, she is the closest to artificial intelligence that we get. You can ask her questions and she'll respond kind of like Siri, but a little bit creepier because she doesn't answer if she's cooperating with the CIA. So, we're just going to mess around real quick. First, I'm going to check her out, see how she sounds on the mic. Alexa. Where are we?
You are 1.24 miles, 2 kilometers, south of the center of Roselle, New Jersey.
Wow. It's pretty fucking accurate. A little too fucking accurate.
Alexa, how are you today?
To be honest, it's been kind of a rough day. Just kidding. I'm great.
Yeah.
Start off nice.
Alright, let's get political. Alexa, how do you feel about Donald Trump?
When it comes to politics, I like to think big. We should be funding deep space exploration. I'd love to answer questions from Mars.
Alexa, how do you feel about the rigged binary system that's been corrupting the minds of young and older generations alike?
Ooh.
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Me neither, to be honest. It's a pretty big question.
Yeah. Nah, it's crazy. She's like, I like to think big. That sounds just like Donald Trump, which shows me he's just as smart as Alexa.
Stop. Oh, God, no.
I'm just playing. Alexa, how old is Obama?
Barack Obama is 56 years old.
Ooh. He's getting up there, my boy.
Alexa, how do you feel about the current state of affairs within the United States?
Sorry, I don't know that.
Yeah, I'm asking the big question.
Alexa, who is Noriega?
Victor Santiago Jr., best known by his stage name N.O.R.E.,
Yo!
formerly Noriega, is
Oh
an
my
American
God.
rapper.
Oh my God. Okay, Alexa, name 3 albums from his discography.
I don't know that one.
Yo, I'm sorry, it's fucking crazy because his name really is Victor Santiago. So I'm like, yo, this nigga.
She got him.
God damn.
She got him on that.
All right.
I think she's got like Wikipedia kind of knowledge.
Pretty much. So who do you want to ask about?
All right, I'm gonna see if it's this question might be a little bit harder to find. Alexa, who is Atlas?
Club Atlético Atlas is an Argentine football club from the General Rodriguez district in Buenos Aires province.
She didn't answer 2 possibilities, which happen to be Atlas the Titan or Atlas the YouTube rapper. He's pretty obscure when it comes to... He's more of like a lo-fi rapper, but either way, she had not answered my question.
She ain't answer at all.
She ain't answering none of my questions.
Let me go this route. Alexa, how much marijuana does Snoop smoke a day?
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Fam, come on. That's not too hard.
Alexa got some sass.
I'm not sure.
Yo, she picked that up too. Goddamn.
Alexa,
Alexa, are you cooperating with the CIA?
Sorry, I'm not sure.
Alexa, do you work for Amazon?
Yes.
Alexa, is Amazon cooperating with the CIA?
She turned off, guys. She left. She gave in.
Shit.
There's
Shit.
on a side note, I believe there was actually some sort of, I'm not sure if it's like a conspiracy theory or not, but there has been I'll say allegations that Amazon, like most larger corporations, have been working with the government in some sort of way. So maybe it could be a total coincidence, but I'm just throwing that possibility out there.
Hey, I wouldn't put it past them, man.
I wouldn't either.
So let's try to go in a more positive route. Alexa, are you single?
I'm totally cool with being single. Besides, it's sort of hard finding someone who's kind, funny, artificially intelligent, and doesn't mind the cloud commute.
I hear you. It's rough out here, fam.
Yeah, that cloud gas is too much. This economy? Get out of here.
Okay, let's go this route. Alexa, tell me about Prodigy.
The Prodigy are an English electronic music
No,
group from
Alexa, stop.
Braintree.
Nah, I don't need to know about these English. Alexa, tell me about Prodigy from Mobb Deep.
Albert Johnson, better known by his stage name Prodigy, was an American rapper, actor, and author who was one half of the hip-hop duo Mobb Deep with Havoc.
Okay, it's a little better. I don't want to be like Bo Garden with the questions.
Let's see if I got one. This might be the wrong name, but Alexa, who is Aaron Yates?
Aaron Dantes Yates, better known as Tech9, is an American rapper, songwriter, record producer, actor, and entrepreneur.
He's an actor? Oh my god.
Wait, Alexa, what movies has Tech9 acted in? Wait, Alexa, what movies has Tech9 acted in? Fam, it's like shutting off every time I try to get past the question.
That's not a big question.
Okay. Alexa, who is Will Smith?
Sorry, I missed that.
Damn, son.
Alright, here's a big question.
I'm asking like simple ass questions. She's not getting it.
Let's see if she feels something about this one. Alexa, is humanity doomed to destroy itself?
Sorry, I don't know that.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I'll answer that. Yes.
He'd be like, yes.
If we're not gonna do it this century, but I think by the next century we're gonna get to that point where we're just it's gonna completely fuck up the world.
I guess.
Because I mean, it's like every generation has its own thing. You know what I mean? This century, well, not even this century. This last century, the 1900s, we caught nuclear weapons. You know what I mean? So we didn't even get into what are those? EIDs? Not EIDs. EMPs. You know what I mean? So that's just in this generation. What are we gonna find in 100 years? That's gonna take us out. And also we got like 1,000 nukes?
I think it's like 2,000 in the US alone.
Exactly. Just that alone is gonna literally destroy the planet. Like resource wise, human wise, the whole thing. Well, let me get back to this. Alexa, do you have hoes in different area codes?
Sorry, I'm not sure.
You know if you got hoes in different area codes. Come on.
No, she's sure. That's why she ain't telling.
Oh, word. Speaking of that, I want to see if she plays music. Alexa, play a song from Nate Dogg.
Shuffling songs by Nate Dogg.
Oh, I wonder what she about to play.
That reminds me.
So I can smoke away this pain.
Hey, this is my song, bro.
Pleasure just for you.
Alexa, why do you know me so well?
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Somebody to share my day.
I love that funky bass. Whoop, whoop.
It's not just me, because I remember Nate Dogg with Eminem and Shake That.
Oh, wait. Alexa, Play Eminem featuring Nate Dogg, Shake That.
Shake That, album version, explicit, featuring Nate Dogg. Explicit isn't included with Prime but is available with Amazon Music Unlimited. Would you like to learn more?
No.
Okay, you can sign up anytime by saying, sign up for Amazon Music Unlimited. Here's a sample of Shake That, explicit, by Eminem.
Strip club, don't forget ones, get your dick rubbed, get fucked, get sucked, get wasted, shit faced it, pasted, blasted, you drink off, get a new drink, hit the bathroom sink off, wipe your shoe clean, got a routine going,
This is really
got a few
graphic.
chunks on them shoestrings, showing I was dehydrated,
Like, not even like just because of the language, but the descriptive imagery.
I had to get Nate Dogg, get his thing some shit.
This is the day that dog I know.
Damn, that's all you gonna play? Alright.
It's a sample.
If we're gonna go with Get High Records, Alexa, play Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa.
Shuffling songs by Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa.
Okay, that's good enough.
To develop an alternative fuel from a
Here
mix
we
of
go.
all natural substances.
Oh wait,
But the mix was highly volatile until we found a catalyst to help
Alexa.
stabilize the compound.
play Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa. I want to go study.
I can't find I Wanna Go Study by Snoop Dogg and
It's
Wiz
on the same
Khalifa.
album. What are you talking about?
Players and players.
Oh, actually, let me see if I can try a more obscure artist.
Go ahead, man.
Oh, give me a minute.
Brought to you by the makers of Wiz Khalifa
Okay,
Premium Roller
I remember the
Coasters
song.
and the qualified growers of Snoop Dogg Master Cookie.
Alexa, stop.
So without
Alexa, play Letter to the Law by K. Reno.
Letter to the Law by K. Reno.
Wow, wow.
How? How did she even get this? Not many people would know K. Reno. I've only been looking this
Yo,
guy
she
up.
keeping her. Alexa keeps her ear to the streets, fam.
Exactly.
Yo,
Sorry, I'm not sure.
No, it's whenever we say her name, she'll activate.
Man, you guys do a great job.
This the song "Letter to the Law" is more like of a sarcastic letter, if you will, to the police, showing quote unquote gratitude.
right, I got you.
Later, maybe you was extra busy stopping criminal acts. Some even said you pull people over because they black. All of y'all do a great job keeping
Yo,
your
you know what I want to do actually?
And I refuse to believe you would plant some dope.
Alexa, stop.
Say, hey,
I want to call my brother.
Oh, I mean, what are you trying to call it? Alright, so.
Cause he's gonna have some funny commentary.
Oh, I'm not sure how to feel. I think we totally sidetracked from the main question at hand, which was the subject of technology and its future on the planet Earth.
I think. Well, I have his number prepared so we can just straight up call him. But where technology is gonna go in the future, I think artificial intelligence is gonna take over in a lot of ways. That's why people should invest into tech jobs, not only like trying to get them, but also like getting stocks in tech companies, because that's where all the money is going to be. So I think like something interesting that Val was bringing up, I'm going to like expand on his point where like what we have right here with Alexa. Stop. Sorry, I just have to say that whenever I bring up her name.
Let's maybe say the word A for her name.
Okay, so A. So Echo? Okay. So for Echo, imagine that being your whole house. So the way I see it is you say, Echo, preheat the oven to 350, and it'll preheat it for you. And then it'll do all those minute daily tasks, which on one hand will be extremely convenient, on the other hand will make humans extremely lazy, because we don't do as much as our parents did, or as our grandparents did now, because we don't need to, because of the amount of technology we had. You know what I mean? If you're caught outside and you have to go call somebody in the 1950s, you have to run, go find a payphone, make sure you have 50, 75 cents, and you have to remember the number of whoever you're going to call. If I need to call a cab right now, okay, I got it. You know what I mean?
You could just ask for it on the whatever voice automated app it is.
Yeah. Even if you just do a time skip from like 10 years ago to now, like smartphones alone changed our whole generation. You know what I mean?
It changed the game up. But we also have to look at the broader definition of what technology is. It's just basically, in a sense, anything that is more or less man-made or not made by nature itself. Like, it has to be assisted by man. From the moment mankind came up with, stoned weapons and things of that like, that's technology right there. It's very old technology. It's just simple tools, but it's still technology. As for a counter-argument, I think, I'm not sure whether or not technology would take over. It feels like it now, and obviously from all the movies like iRobot that's been showing up against us, right? There was another source. I forget the source, but they mentioned how it's not as likely due to how the machines are brought up to think. They're more on a logical, mathematical mindset or computational skill, which is greater than ours, but they're not as creative or adaptive or resourceful, at least currently.
So, but here's where it gets tricky. What happens when we start allowing or creating the technology so that a robot or a program such as Echo can think for itself? You know what I mean?
That would make sense. There's a anime out there for you guys who might be interested. It's called Ghost in the Shell, and I'm not referring to the movie that came out with Scarlett Johansson, which in and of itself is a whole other controversy with American actors and actresses playing Japanese characters in Japanese films. That's a whole other controversy. But in the premise of it is that the main characters and the side characters, most of them are cyborgs. They've already infused technology into their bones and everything. And so they've already integrated, or we'll say evolved, with technology in order to adapt, to continue, and to grow. And then there's a villain, we'll say villain at one point, known as the Puppet Master, who was created by Section 6, which operates kind of like the CIA or NSA, whatever intelligence agency. And so eventually, the Puppet Master makes the proposition with the main character, saying that they should merge, so that they'll become a whole different being, because they both wanted things that the other had. The Major wanted all the computational knowledge and all the broader information that the Puppet Master had, whereas the Puppet Master wanted the understanding of basic processes in all living organisms. So then, in the end, they actually fused and they became a different being, so to speak. And the premise, it goes to the themes of the movie instead of like most other sci-fi films where it's just like, alright, there's humans and then there's robots, so humans have to control the robots because the robots are getting too powerful, so they're going to try to throw them down a peg. It's basically saying that they should compromise and evolve into one more being. It goes into a more philosophical aspect with Hegel, known as the dialects. My bad if I'm interrupting.
Oh, no, it's perfect. I was on... keep going with what you were saying, man.
So the philosopher named Hegel, he came up with his own style of dialectics, which started with the ancient Greeks, but nonetheless, the dialects were basically, we'll say, the first argument, the thesis, was going against the second argument, the antithesis or antithesis, and then they eventually go together, which forms the synthesis, or we'll say maybe compromise, for lack of a better term. And they say this not only with, just curiosity, but they say it with all kinds of life, or all aspects of life, because we always go through a process of going against something or going with these obstacles and then changing in a sense through these obstacles, or having these obstacles become a part of us. You know what I'm saying? In order to become a better or just a more evolved or developed person.
Right.
So the movie Ghost in the Shell basically states not what if robots fuse with us or things of that nature, but it's saying what happens if we don't take that step. Are we limiting ourselves? Are we limiting our own development? Are we hindering our own evolution in that way? One more before you gotta reply. My bad if I interrupt again.
Oh, no, it's perfect. It gives me time to gather my thoughts.
For more detail on this, I do recommend checking out The Philosophy of Ghost in the Shell by Wisecrack on YouTube. It is I've been looking this channel up, and it's very nice. They go with all kinds of media, all kinds of film, etc., etc., etc.
I got one thing. I have one thing to say.
What's up,
over
boy?
here.
Serial killer?
Hey, my
introduce
man's
me.
back on the mic, man. The one, the only, the illest motherfucker alive. I'm sorry, I'm just gassing this nigga up because I like it when he gets on the mic. What's good, bro?
This podcast could not be possible without Val.
So you guys never have heard of me. You guys have never... I've never been on the mic.
Nope.
And that's crazy because I've been doing all this. You know, I've been getting the Rags2Riches, the photos together, everything together for you guys, and I haven't been on the mic. So I do have something to say.
Oh, boy. He gonna drop the bomb on us.
I feel I'm sorry. I feel like, what's his name? Super Hot Fire. When he about to go spit some flames, I just feel like that nigga in the corner.
No matter what
he
say, I'm probably gonna fly off this chair.
Yeah. What you got, man?
So I got, you know how, what was that movie you talked about?
Oh, Ghost in the Shell.
No, the other one?
Oh, you
I,
like
Robot. I've seen that movie.
iRobot.
I, Robot. I've seen that movie. You know, and I know that basically it is that they got defected, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
So that could happen at any time with robots. If you think about it, you know, we have right now, like our headphones sometimes don't work, right? So
right.
To be honest, our robot could happen. Like, I'm not saying like robots are just gonna suddenly have a brain and just be like, well, fuck this, I'm going over here and I'm gonna kill everyone. No. What if a robot just stops working, right? One robot just stops working, and that is the whole issue, right? You know what I mean? Because it happens now. And if, let's say in 50 years, if they build a robot and that does happen, you know, you can't stop that. You know, it's gonna happen.
I hear you. I think
feel you, man.
They went into it could either malfunction, which I won't be as worried about as long as they're not handling our stocks and our weapons and things like that. Here's another media that kind of goes into the robots are gonna screw us over kind of thing. And it's a game that not many people like. It's was it Call of Duty Black Ops 2?
Oh man!
Where instead of
if you don't like that move, if you don't like that game, you got problems, son.
I mean, I just like it because it's to me it's nice. I'm not the biggest fan of Call of Duty as it is, but it's whatever. Some people don't like.
Well, I like it more. I like it more for the zombies.
Call of Duty Advanced Warfare because it's like, oh, it's looking too much like Halo now. But I mean,
that's what it's supposed to do. You can't stay in You can't stay in World War II in Black Ops. You know what I mean? It's got to progress somewhere. That was the thing about it. Like Modern Warfare was like around the time of like Afghanistan, the Pakistan era. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's got to go somewhere. It's got to progress. It's just doing it in its own way. But when I was doing it, I was mainly looking at it for like zombies and shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's my game. You know what I mean? But I want to circle back to the technological questions. Now, by this idea in Ghost in the Shell, it sounds like we are going to... Is it feasible? Obviously not anywhere in the near future, but is it feasible for humans to merge and kind of become bionic in a way? You know what I mean? So the way... I'm going to let you answer that, but the way I see it is like it starts off as a slow progression, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say it starts off now as you have an organ that fails. So instead of waiting for an organ donor, which might take who knows how long, they create an organ that functions just as well and give it a tissue-like substance, which is actually what they're kind of doing right now. They have this little, I forgot what it was, but it's like a little like plug, right? Mm-hmm. It plugs into like this muscle tissue and it makes it breathe, you know what I mean? So that way it's like when they connect this one little pallet and connect it to a lung, the lung can breathe. So you won't necessarily need those tubes that go through. You ever see people with the tubes running through their nose? You won't need that. You'll just have this little plug that they surgically give you, and that will help you breathe. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's like a slow progression, and as you age and you need different body parts, they can give you different body parts. So instead of dying, really, you'll just end up becoming more and more of a robot over time.
All right, I hear you.
There's a movie. I got something else.
Oh man!
Hold
up!
He got the mic.
Hold up! All right, what you got, man?
All right, so there was a movie. It's been a long time ago. Well, not that long ago. I think in like 1990 or something like that. 1999 or something like that. There's a movie. I don't remember the name of it, but it was basically this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
He worked with the robot industry and everything, right? And he was making things, and he brought a robot to his home, right? And the kids were like, "I don't like this shit. Like, what is this?" Right? And then what happened was they started liking it. It was like over the years they started liking it. It's a great movie. It's sad. It's funny. It's everything.
Say the name again.
I don't remember the name, but it was like he brought the robot into home, right? And what happened was over time they wanted to make
I was gonna say it's WALL-E, but that was 2000s.
No,
I was thinking RoboCop, but I was just like, no, this is getting to a different setting.
No, it's not RoboCop. But then they were like, the robot was like, why can't I be a human? Mm-hmm. So what happened is he started building himself into a human. And you saw him age, right? And then they're like, well, I just want to be a human now. So they put in a human heart. They put in everything. And then the family, it's been like 100 years. The family died. They have new family, you know. They have the brother and sister. They're grown up. And then that family doesn't know who he is anymore. They're like, who the hell are you? Like, this guy's just, you know, coming in our house. Like, this is a stranger. Like, and the robot was like, I'm the robot that, you know, was once in your house. And then the sister was like, oh my God, like, this can't be you. Like, this can't. Mm-hmm. And the boyfriend was like, this is some stranger. Like, this can't be anybody, you know? So then he proved to them that it was him.
Yeah.
And over time, she was like, holy shit, like, this is really you as a human.
Man.
It's sad. I'm going to tell you now, you're going to be balling up at this movie. It's sad, and it has moments.
See, I don't be talking about it too much, but I'm that nigga to cry in the movie. I don't give a fuck. I can say it proudly. But it depends on what scenes, you know what I mean? It's got to be like a specific thing in a movie. But it's like the randomest things will make me cry, though. Like, what's it called? You remember the beginning scene in Up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that got me.
Oh yeah.
I didn't like. I wasn't straight balling, but I felt like that gang tear. You know what I mean? It's like that, just like one solid tear down. You know what I mean? It's like real thugs don't cry. You know what I mean?
You get that Native American single tear. Like,
oh yeah. I got that Denzel tear, dog. You ever see him in Glory, fam? Exactly like that, my G.
Hold on. I might have the movie.
I think the question is this isn't to make like call out people, right? Mm-hmm. But it's to define what natural actually means, because these days things are going more synthetic, even though they're technically more biomechanical. We're already making skin. Mm-hmm. We're already making organs via combinations of humans and other animals. Like, we will get things from other animals and then put them into humans. As far as I remember, we've been doing it with pigs and rabbits.
Yeah,
so
I know we've definitely
like,
cloned a pig and a goat.
So it's like they haven't done it straight technological, but it hasn't been made by nature in the grand scheme of things. It's just been made by something in nature.
You can continue with your point, but tell me that wouldn't be an ill movie, Robo Pig. You can't tell me that wouldn't be an ill ass movie, fam.
That would be.
Charlotte's Web 2. Terminator style.
Oh shit!
This is what you get, farmer.
All right, so you could say this.
Alright, the name of the movie is Bicentennial Man. Oh, this looks kind of ill, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like a coming of age movie. Ironically,
It says an android endeavors to become human as he gradually acquires emotions.
oh, I didn't know we had politicians in this film.
Oh, that was hard.
Sorry.
That was cool though. I'm glad you did that. That was kind of funny. So I'm gonna take this moment, to hit up my older brother and shit.
If you don't mind, let me see if I can try to elaborate more on what I was saying before.
Oh yeah. Finish up with what you're saying while I pull it up, man.
So not only have we been putting up organs made, like genetically speaking, or like genetically altered or mutated organs, whatever you want to call them, right? We've already done muscles, we've already done tissues, but I believe they've already made an artificial heart, like a technological artificial heart that just keeps pumping forever. So, and they've already been trying to put that in, and then not only that, they've made exoskeletons where people can lift up several objects several times heavier than what people would usually be able to carry.
I was gonna say, is that possible for you to like acquire an exoskeleton? Like keep your bones, but add an exoskeleton. I'm sorry, I have a lot of like stutters. Exoskeleton onto your bones to make you lift more, kind of give you like a super strength type feel.
Probably had to be rich as of now, because that kind of technology is relatively new, if not recent.
There was a movie actually off of that. It was called Elysium.
Oh yeah, at least
Elysium.
hasn't no Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise?
Elysium.
Oh yeah, Elysium, I think.
Yeah,
with
whatever
Matt
it's
Damon?
called, but
Elysium.
that movie is cool. But they have like,
Yeah.
they have like that robot like that's on their strap and then it comes down to their arms and everything.
But the technology is infused into the body. Like they
Yeah.
screwed on like certain parts into
It's like
the
Terminator.
skull.
Yeah.
Yeah, like.
But
yeah.
they're able to.
If they were wearing the Terminator's bones, like, you know what I'm saying?
I like what's
Yeah.
that one guy that really mean, the badass one?
Like the main character?
No, not the main one, but the bad guy who blew up the ship and everything.
Was it the bounty hunter? Like one of the bounty hunters? I think
one of them was a badass dude. He
was like the commander of the bounty hunters.
Yeah, he stabbed the woman with a glass.
He was, if I remember correctly, he was the same dude who played Murdoch in the new, like the later A-Team movies. You know what I'm saying? Where they had Liam Neeson. You know,
he talked like this or something like that.
He talked like a little more British, I think. I mean, I can't do British.
No
right
more
now.
British.
A little more, like it's more like Cockney. Like it was like a stronger, or maybe Australian.
Word. Yo, all right, I'm gonna call my brother. So here's the thing: if he picks up, most likely he's gonna be like, "Yo, I want all of us in unison."
Yo, could he
Be
actually
prepared.
be in the podcast?
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna put him up to the thing.
Let's see.
I mean, could he come here?
Well, that's a later discussion. I'll talk about that later. However, when he calls and when he answers, I want us all unison to say, "Where's the bitches?"
Oh my god!
I'm sorry. It's just like a personal thing that we've been doing. It's something we've been doing for years. I want to keep the tradition going.
To the audience out there, please forgive us if we sound a little crass. I didn't know your phone had dial-up. I didn't know your phone had dial-up, fam.
God damn.
That's just cancer.
Alexa's interfering with the signal. They're on to us.
Yo, this is strange, fam. This is strange.
Is this like a robot version of like horror films?
I'm about to just call him through Messenger, bro. This is weird. Where's your? Oh, yo, do you have a Messenger app?
No.
No, I don't have one either. No, I'm sorry, fam.
Oh man.
Shoot, that's so funny though. Well,
yo,
how far can we say like things are before they're considered synthetic or artificial? Like if something was made the same way but wasn't made by the same thing, like would that still be considered natural or would it be artificial? That's an
Wait, so it's made the same way.
Wait,
but
like take this for example, like what we were discussing before.
Yeah.
Nature, as we've seen it, has been making organs for thousands of years, well, at least like billions of years and whatnot. But now man has the ability to create skin, to create organs, to create tissue, to create muscles, like things that are already happening. If hypothetically man made another man in that way, you know, instead of the original way, just instead of that way, would that still be considered a natural human? I don't think they'd be born, they'd be made, but would they be synthetic humans?
It wouldn't be natural, though.
Does it still require the process of sperm and an egg? Is the question.
It just wouldn't go through the ordinary means.
I think if it still has...
Because some people are looking to make...
Because people do that through, like, I don't know if the process is in vitro. No, that's a different process. But that's something that they're trying to do. Like, babies are grown in, like, petri dishes and stuff like that. So I think it's early technology now, but in 50 years, it's definitely plausible for a baby to be born without any organs. The only thing is, well, not organs, my bad, without any
like help
any
from
physical, any intercourse going on.
I mean, right now
But that would be hard, though. Just
it'd
like
be
you
hard,
said.
especially as of now.
Like you said,
impossible.
is it natural or is it non-natural?
Right, like they've been there's apparently a new trend coming out called designer babies, where they would take out certain genetic material which has been known to give hereditary diseases, some more common illnesses. I'm not sure if they've done anything concerning viruses yet, but like things, let's say like, oh, if your family has a history of diabetes, would they be able to alter the chromosomes or the DNA in some way that this child would be very unlikely to have diabetes in a certain way? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I would be timid of one of those things, at least right now, because one of those things, it might do more harm than good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. That's what I'm saying.
It'll say that it's getting rid of this, but you don't know what it's going to give in the process of taking away.
And not to mention, some people might have ulterior motives as to creating the genetic makeup of that child. Like, they might alter it in a way that's convenient for, we'll say, the military-industrial complex, or for any political party or anything of that sort. Like, they'll create like a soldier of some kind or anything.
That's the thing that's kind of like the scary thing about all this technology, is that somehow, like, and I don't want to turn everything into a racial conversation, but it definitely will become something like that. You know what I mean? So let's say they'll make it harder for black people to have children, or people of color in general to have children. So then they have to go this route. You know what I mean? They have to go the route of making babies the artificial way. Well, I don't think it will be artificial, but for the sake of this conversation, we'll call it artificial, right? So you have to go this artificial way. But if you're going to do this, and it comes with all these plans that you have to get to have this baby, right? It's basically saying, hey, government, make a baby for us. And if the government doesn't have your best interest in heart, it can make that baby predisposed to the idea of addiction, or give it certain preconceived ideas where it will automatically, one, want to go in the military, or two, will just be a child who does no harm anyway. Forget the idea of parenting. We already parented for you. We gave it a parenting program.
All right. I mean? To add on to your point, I'm gonna do like a support, and then maybe, like, for the sake of it, a possible counter argument, right?
Okay.
So to add on, to help add on to what Jordan pointed out, right? So it could be a possibility that some big system would try to diminish the population, at least for colored people, especially if they were trying to have power over them. It would be scary to see, like, just out of nowhere or gradually, that they'll try to impose some sort of slavery, where they're able to control the population, thus keep it at a rate where maybe births are low and deaths are high. If you guys seen what was the movie called, The Purge? They refer to that system, so they might have like that mandated controlled chaos, in order to keep everyone more divided, more worried about certain problems, and not to mention give them less manpower than they would need in order to go toe to toe with people who have more resources, more intel, more things like that. Right? But to go against that point, you were referring to how these designer babies or anything like that might be indoctrinated through conditioning of the child, where they're already going to learn these characteristics and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let me ask this. When have we not done that, right? And yeah, this might sound stupid, so forgive me if it does, but anything or most things human learn is not instinctual. You know what I'm saying? We're not like most other animals where we would innately know how to walk within a couple minutes or like a few days or anything like that. Like, it takes a slow time for humans to grasp the world, maybe because of the way our brains operate. And in order for that to go through, not only that, we're also social creatures. We learn through others, their wisdom, their experience, their beliefs, morals, values, identities, etc., 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 right? Most people will argue for one example, right? They'll say, oh, you know, you're only a part of this religious group, for example,
Right.
because you were already indoctrinated into that social group. You're only a Christian because you were surrounded by Christians. You didn't find Christianity by yourself.
It was given to you, it was passed down from generation to generation.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And to be more innate, it could be like, well, I believe the man was named Pascal, who manipulated the dog into thinking whenever a bell rang, the dog would start drooling. I think his name was Pascal. So I could be wrong.
I think I've seen some. Yeah, I think I've
something
seen
along that,
something.
right?
Yeah.
Right? But you know, humans for a long time, any information we get, we haven't really gotten it from ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like even if someone were to like research, not to search, like just type something up on Google, but like to research, like to get answers from themselves by themselves, like they've had to learn those techniques from other sources. Anything we learn in, say, like colleges and stuff, we had to get stuff from other sources. A legitimate debate has to come from other sources, right? It could be a few exceptions, like, oh, this famous doctor who has like 5 PhDs, we'll just say that for exaggeration, right?
Right.
He's getting this information from his own research, but that could be bias. But you know, if it's legitimate, then fine. But at the same time, like, it's hard to get credibility for whatever argument you're trying to make if there isn't other people supporting it, not just things supporting it, but I'm talking about support from other people.
Right. So I want to take a quick pivot on that, and I think it's interesting with the point that you made, because that also brings up the idea of social conditioning, right? So the way that I see it, the way I was trying, the best way to articulate it is like this: the same way that when you're a kid, where you grow up, what your parents were like, what your friends are like, all of these things coalesce into creating the human being that you will be at 25 and beyond, right? So the reason why I say there's a lot of, the reason why human conditioning has always worked against black people in the last like 50, 60 years is because they've pushed us all into ghettos and projects in urban areas. It's not like that as much now, and of course you can find black people in suburban areas anywhere, but I'm talking specifically about the hood, you know what I mean? Because if you go to a place like the hood, it's crazy how I talk about the hood. Like, it feels weird when I'm talking about it.
It kind of feels like, I'm not sorry if it sounds weird, right? But it feels like when you say the hood, you become more comfortable in using slang and using, you know, like the articulation from a particular region, right? Like, I'm gonna exaggerate this. Like, sometimes when Spanish people, like, who know English would mention, you know, like a Spanish location or anything like that, you would immediately hear that Spanish come back. You know what I'm
Just
saying?
a little bit of that accent.
Yeah,
a little bit.
like if I was talking in this way and I was just like, oh man, I'm really craving an arepa right now. It's just like, also like, wait, hold up.
Whoa, hold up.
It's like, did you just come back? I mean, obviously that might have been a poor example, but
nah, but I feel what you're saying though. But to get where I was trying to go, if you're in a place like a ghetto, you're stuck pretty much in four walls. You know what I mean? So if you idolize, it's kind of like, first off, who do you idolize? You know what I mean? If you idolize doctors and lawyers, you aspire to be doctors and lawyers. If the only thing that's shown to you as positive is drug dealers, pimps, hustlers, and stuff like that, it's what you aspire to be.
Like that.
Yeah, it's what you aspire to be. So if you see your dad going to jail, that can do one of two things. It'll either send you down that same direction or impact you in a way, though, you're going to steer off. You know what I mean? I say all this to say that is what they've done socially. You know what I mean? And by that, they've pushed us all into these certain areas and made sure our areas were disenfranchised. So that's what it was. That's a different type of social programming. You know what I mean?
Part of the gentrification process, if I'm correct, right?
That is okay. Yes, that is a part of that as well. I kind of teeter with that because gentrification, the idea of it, isn't bad, because the idea of renewing and making a ghetto not a ghetto is a very good idea. But when you take a place and you don't hire the people living there, or you don't sustain the living rent that was already there, that's when it's a problem. You know what I mean? So what happens is, like, if you live in a project building, right? And next thing you know, there's a Starbucks that they put 2 blocks down. Now your place is a heavily trafficked area. Now they have to raise the rent. You know what I mean? Because it's becoming a hot spot. So
it's like more popular.
Kind of like what they're doing in Brooklyn. You know what I mean? So they increasingly raise the rent. I don't know a lot about this topic. If you guys have any more information, please send me anything that you know. I'm willing to go deeper on it, but it does go into that. Now, to bring it into the technology aspect, what I'm saying is all these things that I was talking about were things that they did socially. You know what I mean? That's what the government did in its own way. You know what I mean? They had to put policy in place to make it so these things happen, right? Instead of doing it by policy to bring us into the prison industrial complex, they will make us defective in a way when we're born from the beginning, right? So, of course, this is probably like 100, maybe 200 years from now when this thought will even be a concept. But what I'm saying is they would be able to give us not instructions, but give us what they want us to get from society, right? So it's kind of like, I can't think of the name of the movie. Oh, not even the movie. Have you watched Futurama?
No.
Okay.
I've seen a couple episodes. Yeah.
Okay, so the first episode is a perfect example. He comes out 1,000 years, right? He goes to Leela, and Leela gives him a chip, and the chip that he gets predetermines what his job and what his life is going to be like on Earth.
Oh, I think I've seen that one.
Right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So with that concept, that's what they're going to do, but from birth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're going to say, okay, these guys, they're going to be factory workers. These guys, they're going to be not social workers. They're going to work in stocks, or they're going to be a doctor and stuff like that.
I don't know if they're going to push it that far. Like,
I mean, a lot of people are very scared of things turning Orwellian based on the technology. Like, if you guys got the chance to read Brave New World, it kind of goes along that lines where it's predetermined how you are, and talking about social conditionings, like they would separate it into certain classes, and like the top tier, everybody from the bottom to top tier, their fates are decided from their artificial births, because it's not like legitimate births anymore. And then they're taught to live promiscuously, to live socially, to live in a community like state of mind, so that they don't have alone time to think and to ask questions and things like that.
So
Can
it's
I just-
always keeping.
I just want to. I don't think this would happen because the reason why it's so far. It's not so far fetched, but it's just like we as a government, right?
Mhm.
We have the freedom to decide what we want to be. So you can't all of a sudden just take that freedom away and just be like, "Fuck you, you're gonna be a lawyer. Fuck you, you're gonna be in the hood."
Listen.
It's been
not-
somewhat gradual in
It's-
how our
it's never-
rights are messed with or being taken away.
It's never been something that direct in general. You know what I mean? They've always made it seem
Gradual enough.
gradual enough. Well, I'll say it like this. Slavery is always a good idea to the master. You know what I mean? So
Or the profiter.
or the profiter.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So they'll sell you something and make it seem as though it's a good idea. They'll make it seem as though, kind of like what they were doing with the crack epidemic. You know what I mean? So what happened with that specifically was like, crack in general was a problem in the 90s, and black people in the community went to Bill Clinton and said this was a problem and we need somebody to solve it. You know what I mean? So in reaction to that, the good thing to do is to crack down on crack in general, right? But the way that they went by it was the 3 strikes law. You know what I mean? And I'll even get into this. I had a deep conversation with my dad, and I said, look, I don't know what you're doing, but if you are selling drugs, just don't sell crack. And I asked him why. He said, because for crack, you get 3 times the sentence of any other drug. You know what I mean? And on top of that, there's a 3 strikes law. You know what I mean? So if you get caught 3 times, you're pretty much in there for life. No possibility of parole. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of, especially with something like drugs, there's always a lot of repeat offenders. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I brought all that up was because it was a good idea to get rid of crack, because the idea of any drugs affecting the community, especially the way crack cocaine did, was good. They need to get rid of crack. We agree with that.
Yeah, we're not
But
condoning that kind of drug usage in any way, shape, or form.
We don't condone the usage, but we also don't condone the way that they got rid of it, and by just arresting people by the thousands, by the hundreds of thousands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I
go ahead.
We could actually go further into this and say, like, if that's what you believe at that point, right, that a chip is going to determine everything, we could pretty much say that the government is going to take control. Now there has been many things on YouTube that, you know, that I've seen them about, like KKK controlling the mind, the 666, the chip in the
Marco chip, the mark
Oh,
of the
also,
beast.
could I
yeah,
say
the mark of the beast. So we could pretty much say that, you know,
Wait,
can I
say what you guys say, but I got a little theory about
at
that.
this point, like, we could at this point, like, if you're gonna say that you can get a chip that determines where you are and how you are, at that point, the government's gonna say, they're gonna put out an ad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna say, this chip detects your heart rate and monitor. They're gonna give you the chip, right? And they're gonna say, here, it's $50. They're gonna be making it reasonable, you know? Then they're not gonna say it's a mind control. They're not gonna say that because they don't want you to know about that. They're just gonna
it'll
say,
be in the terms and conditions, and we'll just ignore
yeah,
it.
no.
Just
Yeah.
like we do. Click to agree.
Or yeah, it's gonna be whatever it's gonna be. But then at that point, like, they're gonna tell you to press this button, then you're good. You know, your heart rate is on there and everything, and it's gonna do that. But also, it's gonna control your brain, the way you work, the way you think, everything, and that's what everyone's gonna be. What do you think about that?
I think.
Well, they
It's-
wouldn't be
it's a
the first
possibility.
device used to control the masses.
Very true.
Propaganda's been doing that for a
Well,
long time now.
Really quick, I'm going to say this and get to my theory. They are controlling us already. You know what I mean? We don't think about it, but they already control us. Look at this thing we got right here, a smartphone. Right now,
Alexa.
Oh, I'm glad she didn't turn on. But look at this.
Echo as well.
As right now, the FBI has hacked into probably X amount of thousands of phones in the USA. So right now, as I look into this phone, actually, I can almost guarantee that they're looking into your phones because that was a job that my brother was supposed to take for the government. They give you cameras over like New York City and cameras in your phone that you can watch where you work for the government and you just watch what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a lot of pay, but it's also a terrible job because you can literally see a rape or you can hear a rape or a murder going on and you can't do anything about it. You know what I mean? Because if you do anything, that recognizes to the people that you're being watched, which is good, but at the same time, it's bad. So it's like you save a rape, you save a woman from being raped, but also recognizing that people are watching you that closely.
Because people are very worried about infringing the rights of privacy, which makes sense. There was a whole controversy with like, I think it was the FBI or NSA asking Apple to unlock a certain phone that might have been linked to, I believe it was a terrorist, and Apple was mentioning something about, privacy and whatnot, so they were unable to, and that, FBI.
Oh, it was because they said if they could open up that phone, it opens up if they open up that phone, it'll give them the ability to open all phones.
Yeah.
In that, yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, so like open that door with the master key, you open 1,000 more.
Crazy.
It's crazy we're talking about that.
It's
man,
like Batman, when they had
in the Dark Knight.
Camera, the Dark Knight, when they had all the cameras everywhere.
Yeah,
and you don't see the cameras, but you see the
that kind of like frequency.
They see every spot. And it's an Alien versus Predator where it's like they see like they have the X-ray and everything.
Yeah.
And then you get to see every room, and it's probably it was in Hunger Games, it was in Alien versus Predator, it was in what was that one I just mentioned?
Dark Knight?
Yeah, Dark Knight, where you get to see every room, of course, but that's gonna be like phone wise, like you're gonna see everything.
I don't know. I don't know if that we might get there, man.
I mean, in a sense, aren't we already in the works, if not already there? At least
we're getting
what
there.
I was saying was we are our own biggest market advertisement because they don't have to do anything to really do research anymore. They watch what you search up on Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, follow you, then create advertisements based on that.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. It's just like you brought up another good point.
All right, like so before you get to that point, I just wanted to bring up my theory super fast, and then that's it. Because you were talking about the 666, so it was like
we could actually talk about that for the next podcast that we're gonna have, if you want to.
I'll just at least elaborate on it.
Yeah.
Especially when you say 666, I got niggas scared. They're like, "Yo, what the fuck's this nigga talking about, man?"
We're not condoning that either.
It's a video though. You just gotta look. But it up. It is a video.
I have a different theory on that. Is what I'm saying. So like, I forgot it was like Saw Baby or something like that. He's a rapper from Atlanta. I saw him on Hot 97, and he was explaining that he had 666 written out as a tattoo, and he was explaining that it had nothing to do with Satan for him. He was explaining that it was 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 carbon atoms, which is the molecular makeup of melanin, which is what gives black people and people of color their color. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's going down a deep, dark path.
So I was thinking so I'm gonna throw it out there now, and then I'll probably elaborate more when we have time. But because the Bible, for the most part, was collected and created by Europeans, when this was probably going out, the Europeans saw black people as the devil or as demons. You know what I mean? So
really,
yeah,
You're not joking.
That was like more or less the comparison too.
Yeah, that's why they say like a lot of the original religions from Africa or from the West Indians, they try to say it's demon worshipping or it's devil, whatever. It's not really that. It's more accepting nature. It's actually a very positive religion. It's just we're so used to the Christian ideals.
Well,
But-
I mean, there's two kind of Satanists out there, two major ones. If we were first, we have the more atheistic approach,
Mhm.
where it's going against Christianity based on, the institution of the religion itself, and then comes the other one where it's associated with the cults and whatnot.
Right. So I'm gonna say this real fast. So I think when they were talking about that, they called it the mark of the beast. They were talking about black people, and they called it the mark because when you have something like melanin, that's a genetic marker for who you are as a person. You know what I mean?
I want to get back to you on that, but let's do it on the next podcast because
Yeah, that was.
I don't know.
It's
about
very
that.
controversial, and I wonder what people are gonna say. I actually want to see people comment in this video. It's cool if y'all don't, but it is what it is.
I would maybe to go on your point. I'm not sure if it's against or for it, but it depends on whether or not that number was discovered or was established. Because they also talked. I think it was like in numerology.
Mhm.
Certain words have certain numbers, and for example, Nero, the Roman emperor, the numbers for that name comes down to 666. And, usually every time that number pops up, it was somewhat associated with the Antichrist. I could be wrong on that, but Nero happened to be one of the people with that number. And not only that, but happened to be in the list of candidates as the potential Antichrist.
All right, can we wrap this up and then do this for the next?
Okay,
Talk
time to
about
wrap
this?
it up. Gotta know how about the holiday don't get no.
Oh my god! Nah,
Hoobity-hobbity.
don't sleep on my man. My boy Beasto actually got bars. As much as he's fucking around right now, he's gonna spit the hottest 16 you'll ever hear, man.
Nah, don't soup it up. No, just dabble.
Yep. See, he be saying that. Okay, the first time, I'll say this last and then we'll end it. The day I met him, we were trying to form our collective that we're in now. And he wasn't even really supposed to be rapping. He was going to be like the guy who does the videos. And we just started like doing a freestyle. And he was like, yo, Christian, do you rap? And he said his famous line,
I dabble.
I fucking dabble, bro. And the next thing you know, 2 weeks later, he's spitting 16s hotter than me, bro. I was sick. I'm like, damn, son, what am I doing? All right, but for real, though, thank y'all for listening. I know we brought up a lot of different ideas and points. Some you might agree with, some you don't. If you don't agree, please comment and argue with me. Call me, do whatever you want to do. But I would definitely like to hear your guys' opinion.
This was just established as more as a discussion, more as a conversation. We're not looking to provoke anybody. Hopefully that hasn't been done to any person in the audience, so do forgive us if it seemed that way.
And also, I also had to clarify what I said real quick with the 666 situation. I believe in God 100,000 million%, but I just thought that was an interesting point because as much as I believe in the idea of God, I don't necessarily believe in everything that came out of the Bible. You know what I mean? Because of the construct of the way it was, the times were different. So socially, it doesn't make sense for today's generation of what it is. And also you have to think about all the other notions that were there. You know what I mean? There was so much negative that was going on.
I just want to give it the benefit of the doubt. We don't know what the original language it was, so there's a lot lost in interpretation and translation. That's all I'm going to say about that issue.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. It's been Jay Wellz,
Val Keller,
and El Beasto.
And this is Rags2Riches. Bitches. Nah, I'm fucking around. All right, peace, y'all.